Hello, thanks for watching our recorded Tax 1099 demo today. My name is John. I work with ZenWork, which powers the Tax 1099 cloud platform, and I will show you how you can use our Tax 1099 platform to help with your e-filing, form delivery, and some of the other features. Uh, so here I've got the Tax 1099 homepage, and you can come here just by going to tax1099.com. This is a cloud-based platform. There's no software to download, no cost to actually get started. You can set up a free account and start testing the software in about 30 seconds. I just want to point out here on the homepage, we do file a lot of different types of 1099 forms. So you can find more information about the different kinds of forms that we file right here from the homepage. We also file payroll forms, including the W-2, and we file to all 50 states for the 1099 miscellaneous. There's more information about the state filing option for the 1099 miscellaneous right here on the state filing tab. There's also information about the different partners and accounting softwares that we are integrated with, like QuickBooks, and we have a handy knowledge base full of articles and how-to videos, very useful the first time you're starting to use Tax 1099. First time you come here, you'll just click the green sign up button or the create your free account. And very simple to sign up. You just fill out this basic information, name, email. The email becomes your login, and you'll set up a password with that. And that's all you need to do. It should take a few seconds, and you can go ahead and log in. The first time you log in, you'll see a blank dashboard. As you start to create forms, you'll see some records here. I've actually got a 941 form created here and a W-2, but I haven't filed them yet. I can see with the color-coded chart down here that these are still waiting to be filed. Once I actually file these, that color will change to gray, and once the IRS accepts these forms, it will turn to green. So eventually you may have several pages of records that you can just look through at a glance to kind of check their status. You can also search by the reference number that's generated when you file. There's a couple options as well that you can search to go through and find batches of forms that you have either created or have filed. On the left is our navigation menu, and I'll start here under Forms. I'll click New Form. This is the individual form filing process. So you simply select the tax year for the form that you want to create. You're able to create forms going back 2 years, so you could do one for 2016 here, and then just select what type of form. A lot of options again here, different types of forms, the healthcare forms with the 1095, W-2, 1042S. So just select what type of form you want to create. I'll select 1099 miscellaneous, and then it kind of looks like a 1099 miscellaneous form. It's got the payer information in the top left, recipient information below that. You can add a new recipient or a new payer, and it will save that information as soon as you add it. Or if you previously imported some data, you can go and select that payer, select that recipient. Maybe if you need to do a correction, for example, you will just check the box at the top to show that this is a corrected form. And here, this pop-up is telling me that this recipient is in a state that requires a separate state copy to be filed to that state, which that's okay. You'll just want to fill out box 17 and box 18, and we'll go ahead and file that copy to the state. So once you've completed this information, you've got your payer information and the recipient information filled out, you simply put in the dollar figure for box 7. Make sure you've got 17, 18 completed, and you can go ahead and click Save and Continue. We'll go ahead and get this e-filed to the IRS. And we'll mail a copy. If you would like us to do the mailing, we will mail a copy to the recipient as well. So that's the process for the individual form filing. And note, you can do an individual correction, same process, just check the box at the top of the form to show that it's a corrected form. Let's switch now to doing some bulk imports. Typically, you'll want to create more than just one form at a time. So you can do a bulk import There's a variety of methods under the import option here, this drop down. I can bring data over from QuickBooks Online, QuickBooks Desktop, any of these options. But I'm going to start here with the Excel spreadsheet. And so for each of these form types, we have a customized Excel template that we've created to make it easy for bulk import of data. So you would just select the type of form that you're going to be working on. Again, a lot of options here. I'll select 1099 miscellaneous. This is the page where you would get a copy of our template. You can get the CSV or the Excel version. And let me show you what the Excel version looks like. So here's a copy of the 1099 bulk import template for the miscellaneous form. And so I've got some sample data in here. This is for the payer. Now, if I had multiple entities or multiple clients, I can easily list all the different clients and different entities back to back, one after the other, in the same template. There's no limit. I could import 100 different clients or entities this way. So that's an easy way to get a lot of client data into the platform. I'm just going to scroll over here. Here's the payer information. And then, of course, I have the recipient information. So I have completed the required fields here. These are the required fields. It has to know whether it's a business or individual, whether it's that tax ID is an EIN or SSN. So then, of course, it needs recipient address information. And over here, I've got box 7, the dollar amounts. And then I know that one of my recipients is in a state that requires separate state filing, which is Pennsylvania. So I went ahead and filled out the information for box 17 and box 18 here to make sure that they get a separate copy to the state. So this would be the first part of the process, just copying and pasting your data into the template. Once you've got your data in the template, you'll come here, again, go to the import on the left, Excel spreadsheet, select the 1099 miscellaneous form, and you'll be able to begin your import. So there's my data. Note that you can follow the same process and bulk import to file corrected forms as well. If you need to file several corrections and you don't want to do them one at a time, just follow the same process, but check the box. It will import the data as corrected forms. I'm going to select next. This is a mapping page. Sometimes you'll have to tell the platform what column headings should match here. So if you see a yellow box like this, it's just asking what should go in this heading. I'm going to say state ID there. And of course, you should always have to select the tax year. So if you're filing from a previous year, just select this button to indicate what tax year these forms are going to be for. I will leave this as the year 2018 and click next. And so now we're kind of on to the second step. First step is just getting your data into the template and beginning that import. Now, Tax 1099 is verifying and validating my data. So it's checking the addresses. I'm going to do an address verification to make sure that the address is correct. So if I had, for example, a California address with a Colorado zip code, it's going to catch that, and it will have a red or a yellow circle next to that record. That's also the case if maybe I'm missing a digit, or maybe I have too many digits for my tax ID. Anything that is required that is not in my template, if I left something out in my template, it's going to catch that and have a red or yellow circle next to that record. So you would be able to click on the record in that case and just fill in whatever's missing. Make sure you've got all the required data there, and then you'll be able to update that. And it should turn that from a red circle to a green circle. So that's what you want to see on this page is green circles. That means you've got good data and you've got everything that's required to create the 1099 form. So once you've got all that data, you'll be able to continue to the next page. And again, if I had multiple entities in my spreadsheet, I could easily work on each of those entities here. It would show all of the different clients in this drop down. And then once I'm ready to continue, I could select them all and continue to the next step, the final step. And it is important to click next down here if you're able to, because it will save your progress. As soon as you click next, all of your progress will go ahead and finish the import. Your import will be completed now, and the forms will be created. So my upload has been successful, my progress has been saved, and the forms have been created. And on this page, you're just going to decide how you want to handle these forms. If you need to have emailing or mailing options, tin matching. So there are just some options to go through here. Over here, the schedule date, this is the date when the forms are actually going to be e-filed to the IRS. You can select that date to be in the future if you want. You could select the date to be at the end of January, possibly, and maybe you're working on your data early January. That will give you some time to come back and make edits. You can always go back in and edit a form as long as it's prior to the scheduled date. So just a way to make it more flexible and avoid having to do corrections. If you can make edits before that scheduled date, you're able to make those edits for free without having to do a correction. And so, again, state filing, most states are part of that combined federal state filing program. And so the option is grayed out for any of those states. The platform can tell what state requires what. So if it is a state that requires a separate copy to be e-filed, such as Pennsylvania, there'll be a check here to show this state requires a separate copy. And you would go ahead and just leave that. If you don't want to file to the state, you don't have to. You can uncheck it. But if you leave it checked, we'll go ahead and take care of that state filing for you. You can also tin match at this point. Now, tin matching is a way to check the recipient name and tax ID number against what is on file with the IRS database. And if it matches the database, it will come back saying tin match accepted. If something doesn't match what is on file with the IRS database, then it'll come back saying tin match rejected. It doesn't usually tell us if it's the name or the tax ID that did not match, but that does indicate that you might want to try to contact that recipient and get some updated information from them. So it's usually a good idea to tin match before you're actually filing, maybe a few weeks before you actually file, just so you have enough time to reach out to recipients and get some updated information from them if needed. But if you're crunched for time, you can still go ahead and tin match as you're filing. That's what would happen here. And that's still better than not doing a tin match at all. Still a good way to do some due diligence, and it's a good way to avoid B notices or having to pay incorrect filing fees. We also have options where you can tin match throughout the year as necessary. If you're adding new recipients throughout the year, you can also tin match them. So again, then we also have an email option, and so I only have one email here. Only one of my recipients has an email address. And so I can send a copy, and I can email the recipient copy to this person. They would get a secure email. They have to put a password in to retrieve their PDF copy of their tax form, of their 1099 form. And so they should know what that password is. It's a combination of their name and their tax ID number. But you also have the option to do a mailed copy. So in this case, if you select the USPS mail column here, Tax 1099 will mail a copy out to the recipient. It's an extra durable tax document envelope, pressure sealed for security, and there is a barcode on that envelope, so the post office will track those mailed pieces as they go through the post offices. They scan the barcode, so you can pull out a report, and if a recipient calls you and says, hey, where's my copy? Did you mail that yet? You can pull out a report and check and look up and see what post office it was last located at. And let them know, oh, hey, it looks like it's still in Kentucky, so it might be a few more days, or whatever state it was last located at. You'll be able to check that information. So a good way to track those mailed copies. You can also track the email copies and see when the recipient actually opened the email that you sent. Maybe they deleted it, never opened it, and you can always go back and send another email with their 1099 if you need to. So once you've made your decisions, you've decided on when that scheduled date's going to be. And again, that scheduled date is just automatically going to e-file to the IRS. You don't have to do anything. And so if you do select mailing and you go ahead and click next down here and finish up the filing process, as soon as you submit your forms and make payment, the mailing process kicks off right away. So those mailed copies will go out within a few days. Recipients should start getting those in the mail within 5 to 7 days. And the e-file date could still be in the future. If you make payment and submit in early January and get those copies mailed out, you may hear from people saying, hey, I need to update my name. You can come back into the account, make any changes that you need to make. There's no cost to make edits as long as it's prior to that scheduled date. So if that scheduled date is a couple weeks in the future, you have plenty of time to come in and make any necessary edits to these forms. Once you're satisfied with your selections here, you'll select these forms and click Next at the bottom. And this is a pop-up just reminding us the scheduled date is in the future, but if you've selected mail or email option, recipient will get those copies within the next 5-7 days. And then you can always come back in and make edits at no additional cost. And then on the scheduled date, that's when it's actually going to go to the IRS. And so this is a checkout page, and it's just giving a breakdown. So I'm e-filing 10 forms. I'm going to have Tax 1099 mail those 10 forms for me as well. So there's my mailing cost. I'm going to have 2 forms filed separately to the state. We do have a pricing breakdown and a pricing page on our tax1099.com website for more information on specific forms and their prices. Once you go ahead and make payment, you are finished here. So you can just load a balance to your account, and that way you don't have to keep using card information every time you submit a batch of forms. So let's say perhaps you get to this point and you need to double check to see what card you want to use, or maybe you're just not quite ready to finish filing yet. You can always come back because you've completed the import and went through the page with the green circles. The data has been saved to your account. So you can always come back next week or the next day and just go to Forms and go to View, Edit, Submit Forms. And this is where you can pick up where you left off. You can pick the tax year and the client. And there you go. Now you can go ahead and get these finished up. You can finish filing these forms. Once you go ahead and actually file the forms, then you're going to find them under Manage Forms. So that's the difference. Manage Forms is where the forms have actually been filed and submitted. View, Edit, Submit, the forms have been imported, but they haven't been filed yet. They're waiting to be filed if they're showing up in that View, Edit page. On Manage Forms, there's a lot you can do here. This is where you can download PDF copies of all your forms. If you need to download those to your computer for your records, you can have an extra copy mailed to a recipient or emailed to the recipient. You can change the schedule date. You can check on state filing. If you forgot to do the separate state filing, you can come here and do it afterwards. You can check and see if you remember to select the mailing option for this client. There'll be a reference number for each client that was submitted. So every time you submit a client, it goes through as a separate batch. And this is actually where you come to make an edit. So if it's prior to that scheduled date and a recipient contacts you saying they need to change something with their name or something on their form needs to be updated, you can come here. There's an option under the Action drop-down to edit that form. You can make those edits, as many edits as you need to, and then on the scheduled date, it's going to go ahead and e-file that form automatically. We keep all this information for 7 years, so you can go back and find a copy of your form. If you need to find one from a previous year, it's easy to find that. We keep all those forms, all that data stored on the cloud, and you can access it from Manage Forms. You can also tab over and check on the state filing status here as well, similar with the status of whether the state has accepted it, when it was sent, when it was mailed, and so on. If you had a client who just wanted to look at a form to review before you actually file it, it is easy to send a copy to a client to review. You could simply come here and click View, and it's going to show what this form will look like. Once you actually make payment and submit, you'll have a clean copy without this watermark, but everything else will be the same. It'll be formatted just like this, so you would be able to print this out for your records if you needed to, or download this to your computer if you needed to. If you ever print this out, it's just going to print out on blank paper, just like this. You don't need to get the pre-printed forms. So you could print and mail this yourself if you wanted to. That's the filing process. I'm going to quickly show you our people process before we wrap up. We have a way to kind of work on vendor information throughout the year. So this is where you can add recipient information. All you need is their email address, and you can enter their email address on this Manage Recipient page. It will send a W-9 request to that person. So if you're trying to get information, or maybe you're trying to update information for a recipient who failed a TIN match, you can come here to Manage Recipient and send a new W-9 request to that person. When that W-9 will go to their email, and they'll electronically complete it. Once they electronically sign the W-9, it's going to automatically populate back here on the Manage Recipient page. You'll be able to come in and see their name and address, tax ID number, and at that point, you could go ahead and TIN match that information. So this is a way where you could be onboarding new recipients for clients. You can TIN match those recipients as soon as they complete their W-9, and then you'll have the W-9 copy saved to the account, saved to your platform for your records if you need to access that W-9 later. You can even sync this information back to QuickBooks Online or Bill.com. So if this recipient information doesn't exist in QBO, I can come up here, click this, and it will send that information over to my QuickBooks Online account. So just another way to work on recipient data throughout the year, collect W-9s throughout the year, and TIN match. And you can have as many payers as you need. There's no limit to how many different payers and recipients you have within the platform. One last thing, I will show a couple, we'll go over a little bit about our integration partners such as QuickBooks Online or Bill.com. They all work very, very much the same way. All you need is your password. So you need your QuickBooks Online login and password. Mine has been auto-saved. The first step would be to go into QuickBooks Online and designate which recipients are going to need a 1099 generated, the ones that meet the threshold and the requirements and so on. You'll designate those first. Then you'll come into Tax 1099, go to the import option, click on QuickBooks Online, and it will ask you for your QuickBooks Online login and password, which I have entered. And then it's going to show you the different clients in your QuickBooks account. You'll select the client and do the import, and then you'll come back and select the next client. So I only have one client here, but if I had multiple clients that needed 1099s imported, I would have to bring those over one client at a time, one entity at a time. That's the way QuickBooks has set up their programming. So it's a little bit different from using our Excel template. The difference is with the template, you can import as many entities or clients as you need to. You can import all the entities you have at the same time if you want to. If you're using QuickBooks Online or any of these other accounting softwares, it will limit you to pull over one client at a time from that software. So a little bit different. So here I've just got the one, so I'm going to select that, click Next. Oh, of course you have to select the tax year as well, so I'll select 2017 there and start that new import. And so now this is a mapping page. It's just asking how to assign these payments because, of course, it doesn't know whether that was a rent payment or a medical payment. I'm going to say in this case, these were box 7 payments. And at this point, it's the exact same process. So no matter where you're coming from, whether it's QuickBooks Desktop or Xero, once it gets into Tax 1099, that data, it's going to be on this validation page. Just like with the spreadsheet, we're here on the validation page with the green circles and red circles. In this case, I've got one that's missing some type of data or it's incorrect data. I can click on there to see what is the issue. It looks like this has actually got an incorrect zip code. So I can quickly update that. That should turn that red to green. There we go. So now I've got good data. I can continue. And again, once I click Next down here, my progress is going to be saved. So I can always come back and finish filing later. So now my import has been completed. I've uploaded successfully, and I've got this data into Tax 1099. So I'm able to get these forms e-filed and the copies mailed out to my recipients. We do have a number of reporting capabilities as well. So if you ever need to see a breakdown on everything you filed or see a list of who's completed their W-9s, who matched on the TIN match report, you can pull out reports for all of those different options. A lot of information that you can check there. And of course, if you ever have a question, there's a link down here on the support tab you can call. We do have phone support throughout the year, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday Central Time. You can also chat. There's a chat box down here, and they're happy to help if you have a question. We have some links here to our recorded videos. If you need to watch a how-to video on QuickBooks desktop integration, for example, there's information on the different accounting softwares that we're integrated with. That will wrap up our recorded demo today. Thank you for taking the time. I hope this was helpful. If you do have any questions, please reach out to us. And we hope this makes your tax season much quicker and simpler. Have a great day.